It's Wednesday, December 16th, and this is now on HNN.
We don't know the exact dollar amount yet.
Stimulus checks are back in play as congressional negotiators near an agreement on a COVID-19 aid bill.
Now I'm really worried.
A growing coronavirus outbreak at the Halawa prison sparks concerns of mismanagement.
Telling them the right thing to do.
More lockdowns across Europe as COVID-19 infections spike. I'm Ian Lee with what the holidays around the globe will look like this year.
Actually issued a final notice.
Plus, we're breaking down the new rules for service animals on flights. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for watching. This is Now. Jonathan and Ashley here, coming to you from the H&N Digital Center. Literally seconds ago, we just got those latest coronavirus numbers released from the state, right, Ash?
That's right. Health officials say 4 more patients with COVID-19 have died, bringing the state's death toll to 278. The state is also reporting 110 new cases today. We'll have those breakdown of the numbers on our H&N Digital platforms. Meanwhile, Hawaii's largest shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine is expected today.
3,900 doses of Pfizer's treatment are set to arrive in our state today. Nearly 45,000 more are on order and scheduled by the end of this month. Now, staff at Tripler Army Medical Center are set to get the shots today, and at Kapiolani Medical Center, officials are expecting its first dose of Pfizer's vaccine today as well. The hospital says it will start giving out shots to its staff shortly after the treatment arrives. And more help may soon be on the way via a second vaccine. But health experts are warning Americans not to let their guard down. Sarah Doloff has much more.
Wow.
Today, new shots at beating COVID-19 as more frontline medical workers are vaccinated from the Bay Area.
Now at least I got one more extra layer of protection that I'll be safe and my family will be safe.
To Boston, medical assistant Judith Rao's mom died of coronavirus this spring.
This is the first time I felt some joy and some hope in many, many months.
And communities could receive a second injection of vaccine within days. An FDA advisory panel will meet Thursday to review Moderna's candidate. Clinical trials show it's as effective as Pfizer's, but doesn't require sub-zero storage.
Even with the emergence of these new tools, we are not at the finish line yet, especially as we approach the holidays.
Attention, please.
Health experts pleading with the public to keep wearing masks and avoid celebratory gatherings, with hospitals on the brink.
The way we're all feeling is like a tidal wave. You feel like it's going to come and collapse over the top of you at any minute.
Nearly 1,000 nationwide reporting ICU capacities at or above 90%.
Each one of us is working what is equivalent to 2 full times and sometimes 2.5 full times.
The death toll in the U.S. now above 300,000, and the CDC says it could climb by another 60,000 in the next 2.5 weeks. Behind each of those numbers, a life cut short and a family grieving. Sarah Doloff, NBC News.
Very close, but not there yet. That's what Hawaii Senator Brian Schatz had to say about Congress passing another stimulus bill to help millions of struggling Americans. Lawmakers are currently debating whether the $900 billion bill should include a second round of stimulus checks. Here's Senator Schatz from this morning.
We don't know the exact dollar amount yet, and it'll be similar to how it was structured last time. The idea is that it's provided to everybody under a certain income threshold, but we don't know if it's going to be the $1,200 that it was previously or some dollar amount lower than that.
With more on the potential deal and the presidential transition, let's send it over to Michael George, who has the very latest.
Well, a cabinet of barrier breakers, a cabinet of first.
President-elect Joe Biden praised the historic and diverse makeup of his cabinet nominees, while announcing former Democratic rival Pete Buttigieg as his transportation secretary pick. If confirmed, the former South Bend, Indiana mayor and Afghanistan war veteran could become the first openly gay Senate-approved cabinet official. And as a millennial, he'll also be one of the youngest.
I got to know Pete on the campaign trail. He's one of the smartest people you'll ever meet and one of the most humble.
As Transportation Secretary, Buttigieg will be expected to lead the way on improving the nation's infrastructure.
Americans shouldn't settle for less than our peers in the developed world when it comes to our roads and bridges, our railways and transit systems.
The president-elect says plans are underway for him to take the Covid-19 vaccine publicly soon.
I don't want to get ahead of the line, but I want to make sure that we demonstrate to the American people that it is safe to take.
Mr. Biden also praised lawmakers on Capitol Hill, as both sides say they're close to an agreement on a $900 billion COVID relief package. The bill could include another round of direct payments for many Americans.
The American people need more help. It's that simple.
This won't be the last time Congress speaks on COVID relief.
The president-elect says the proposed package is an important down payment, while hinting that more action may be needed after he takes office next month. Michael George, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Congressman-elect Kahele has officially resigned from the Hawaii State Senate. A Senate spokesman said Kahele made the announcement today. Last week, West Hawaii Today reported that he had not stepped down, which meant there could be a delay in replacing him, potentially leaving his seat open as the next legislative session gets underway. The Democratic Party will meet next week to select candidates that they will then suggest to Governor Ige. Ige then has 60 days to fill the Hilo seat.
The state is dealing with another prison outbreak. Casey Lund is outside of Halawa Correctional Facility with new concerns.
Many of the families that we spoke to were hesitant to share their stories because they say they fear retaliation for their loved ones inside the prison here at Halawa. But they did share what they say are serious concerns about how this outbreak is being handled. While the state says it is doing everything it can to keep inmates and staff here safe, some inmates' families and the union representing Halawa's staff disagree. Yesterday, I spoke to the mother of a Halawa inmate who says her son and his cellmate were both tested on Friday. His cellmate tested positive, but despite being tested the same day, her son did not receive his results when his cellmate did. She said they were kept in the same cell and not separated. And the last time she was able to speak to her son, he told her he eventually did receive a negative result, but is now reporting having COVID symptoms and claims he's not able to get a second test.
Now I'm really worried. Now that you have these symptoms, I'm really, really worried now. So that's why I reached out. I get it. They're inmates, right? But they still are, to me, are human beings. That's my son. That's my grandkid's father. So, you know, there's people's sons, fathers, grandfathers, dads, who's inside.
We do want to note that outside of Halawa Correctional Facility, the Department of Public Safety has been relatively successful in mitigating community spread among inmates and staff. The union representing the more than 300 employees at Halawa says its members are facing hazardous working conditions due to lockdowns and quarantines caused by the outbreak. They say work shifts have been understaffed, putting their employees at greater risk. We haven't been able to interview anyone from the Department of Public Safety for months. A spokesperson said the new director is, quote, being brought up to speed on the workings of the department. Governor Ige named Max Otani as the new director of the department at the end of last month. Prior to this appointment, Otani was the state's deputy director for corrections. The union says they need the new director to hit the ground running so he can address some of these serious issues. Reporting at Halawa Correctional Facility, I'm Casey Lund. Now back to you.
A lot of people have been asking about this, so here's the update. The city and county of Honolulu decided to take millions in federal aid and send it to needy families in the form of a $500 grocery card. It's a pretty cool idea and very similar to those restaurant cards we've been talking about. But families say they haven't gotten the cards yet. City officials now cite what they call unforeseen contracting delays, and now we've learned the cards, about 3,500 of them, were only mailed out last Wednesday from the East Coast.
Experts are worried many Native Hawaiians won't get the COVID-19 vaccine because of mistrust and generations of tension with the U.S. government. As Mahialani Richardson reports, there's a task force working to bridge that gap.
Personally, I have my reservations, but again, I choose to trust in science.
State Representative Linda Coit represents Molokai, Lanai, and parts of Maui and believes half of the people in her district won't get the vaccine because of a lack of trust in government.
Mostly in the Hawaiian communities, especially in the older ones, they are reluctant. They are saying, if we're going to watch this thing, we want to see other people take it first. But I'm worried for a lot of them that choose not to because they are making those trips to the mainland.
Dr. Nalani Blaisdell Brennan is on the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander COVID-19 task force and says they're working on a vaccine campaign with well-known beach family Uncle Buffalo, Brian, and Ha'a Keaolana.
What we're trying to do is reach out to individuals who are leaders in Halawa or watermen or churches or other aspects in the community and get them to help us communicate things.
Department of Health statistics show Native Hawaiians had 18% of the COVID-19 cases when they're 21% of the population. Pacific Islanders had 26% of the cases, but are only 4% of the population. Filipinos are also hard hit.
They also have identified Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders as one of the highest risk groups, and so would be among the first to be reached out to and vaccinated.
Experts say they're not only fighting a pandemic, but what's called an infodemic of information overload.
I'm not here to tell people what they can trust and what they can't, but I do hope that people will go to trusted people who they believe in with their heart, and also people with accurate data.
Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Cities around the world are imposing tougher COVID-19 restrictions as we lead up to the holidays. CBS's Ian Lee reports from London.
Here we go again. Last call for pubs and restaurants in London. People threw back one last pint before the British capital went into its third lockdown.
Even if you don't like the government, you just hope that they have good scientists that are telling them the right thing to do.
A week before Christmas, shops should be bustling, not boarding up. But the city is tightening coronavirus restrictions as cases are spiking.
I think it is a good idea if it keeps people safe and, protects people going back for Christmas.
And it's not just the UK. Across Europe, countries are battening down the hatches to stop the virus. Germany has locked down the country, shutting all of its stores until early next year. The City of Lights is a bit dimmer this holiday season as Paris enforces a curfew. And the Netherlands has closed schools and shops, making it a blue Christmas.
I mean, it's a very hard decision. It is harsh. It is bitter for us.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Merry Christmas.
Australia is winning the battle against the virus, even without a vaccine. They're reporting fewer than 10 cases a day, meaning unthinkable sights like this, children and the elderly mixing without a care in the world, offer a glimpse of what life can look like post-pandemic. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
News from the 9th Island. MGM Resorts International has canceled all live entertainment shows through January 15th of next year. The move comes as Nevada extends its statewide pause, which limits public gatherings to 50 individuals or 25% capacity, whichever is less. The 25% capacity limit also applies to gaming establishments.
New today, CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg gives us an update via his Facebook Live forum about traveling with support animals.
The U.S. Department of Transportation, which has not exactly distinguished itself in the last 4 years by making important regulations and taking important enforcement action on those regulations, they actually issued a final notice on the definition of what is a service animal. And their definition is simply this: a service animal can only be a dog that is specially trained to perform a task or service for someone who has a disability, a sight impairment, a hearing impairment, a mobility impairment. That's it, a very narrow but specific definition, which means that the other definitions of the so-called ESA, emotional support animals, are out the window. They're not even on the wing, they're gone, which now allows the airlines one by one to ban them. So no more miniature donkeys and horses and cows, no more peacocks, no more ponies, no more pigs. You guys remember the pig story. And you'll see that happening by about the 10th of January. Now, I know a lot of you have figured out the scam of how to travel with your pet dog or cat or peacock by getting that stupid certificate from a psychiatrist you never met, who for $150 will certify that you need that animal with you or you could snap at any minute. Those days are about to end. And for some people, that may create a psychological problem, because I've seen people come on the planes with as many as 4 dogs, all with their red vests, because there was no DOT rule specifying the maximum number of ESAs any one passenger could bring on a plane. Getting absurd. Not getting absurd, it was absurd. And it still is absurd until that DOT thing kicks in, with each individual airline doing what we expect them to do, which is to ban the ESAs.
Peter Greenberg, never holding back his opinion there, reporting from Turkey today for his travel show, which airs on PBS, The Travel Detective. Pretty cool show. Gonna take you outside. He should be traveling here, right? Look how gorgeous it is outside right now. We're gonna check in with Guy Hoggy, because as beautiful as it looks, there is a potential for some severe weather out there.
How's it on this Wednesday? Kauai got swamped this morning from this dissipating disturbance, and that's why there were some thunderstorms and still possible thunderstorms, mainly for the Garden Island today. However, there is a juicier, more intense, robust disturbance down to the south of the Big Island. You can see some scattered downpours heading for the Big Island's windward side, and they could get thunderstorms later today. And that thunderstorm threat will spread up the island chain through Oahu through the next couple of days, by tomorrow and Friday especially. So for today, cloudier skies, a few scattered showers, mainly windward and Mauka. Leeward sides aren't going to see a whole lot of rain, and trade winds picking up speed today at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Now, as far as the surf, it's on the decline, at least for today. A bigger swell near advisory levels for north and west shores due in by tomorrow. But that's just the first in a series of swells. There are more swells coming in behind it. The weekend should see another swell as well. So today, isolated thunderstorms mainly for Kauai, scattered showers for everybody else. And then spotty thunderstorms moving up the island chain, especially for Maui and the Big Island tomorrow, spreading up towards Oahu by Friday. Friday looks like the day with the most rain. And then drier conditions with breezier trade winds take over on Saturday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Meanwhile, the East Coast is gearing up for the first winter storm of the season, and it could be a major one. Jay Gray has more.
Hey there, good evening. A few flakes blowing around in the wind here at Central Park, part of a system that has 70 million under a winter storm warning right now, really from Georgia all the way through Maine. Here in New York, we expect between 8 and 16 inches of snow. Most of that will come overnight in the early morning hours. In other areas, they're going to have heavy ice or a wintry mix. That's going to be a problem. The worst of it, again, coming in the late hours and early morning hours. And at that time, we expect to see winds in some places of 50 miles an hour. So this is going to be a very treacherous storm at its peak. Those winds mixed with the ice could cause some severe power outages across the country. And remember, the winds also bring the potential for severe flooding along the coastline. This is being described by meteorologists as a disruptive storm, and again, we're just seeing the beginning of it here in New York. That's the latest from Central Park. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
Thanks, Jay. We're going to keep talking about this because I am seeing so many of my friends talking about the weather on the East Coast. I want to pull up this live picture right here. Many of them talking about the surf, because it's not just the snow, like Jay mentioned, the flooding. Also, that huge swell that's expected for the Atlantic this week. From the East Coast to the Caribbean, you can expect a big bump in the waves, the biggest on Thursday. What we're looking at live right now for our podcast listeners is Rockaways, that famous surf break there. We're looking at the parking lot. Some people definitely still trickling in there, and you see a heavy snowfall happening right now. So definitely expect those conditions to pick up. It looks like water temperatures along the East Coast are expected to dip too. Right now in New Jersey, water temps are holding around the mid 40s.
Yikes.
Ahead of the storm. Yikes
And
is
people are
right.
gonna surf in that? Oh.
Yeah, you got to wear that wetsuit.
That's right. And a cold air mass brought heavy snow to parts of Japan, you guys. Residents living in the mountainous area of Niigata Prefecture along the Sea of Japan observed record snowfall. Get this, the town of Minakami received over 50 inches in 24 hours. More than 44 inches of snow fell in the town of Yuzawa. Meanwhile, severe weather conditions paralyzed traffic in northern Japan, leaving vehicles stranded. About 12 miles of national highway has been temporarily closed.
And again, for our podcast listeners, those drifts, we're seeing the snow drifts are just huge, packed up high atop of roofs and on top of even a phone booth we saw there a second ago. And then that poor guy shoveling the snow there. Someone help him out,
It's a
please.
lot of work.
Right? Some good news, please.
I wonder who picked this story. So in South Korea, Santa cats are spreading Christmas cheer.
Santa cats? What?
So, this holiday season, a cat cafe in Seoul is allowing visitors to cuddle up with 130 feline friends dressed up in red and white Santa costumes. Now, some visitors say the concept is really helping boost spirits amid the latest wave of the coronavirus pandemic.
And we'll just stay on this video for a little bit longer because it's so adorable. Looks like the team members there also got into the spirit. I just wanted to zoom out here and just look how many cats we're talking about. Not all of them were that into wearing the Santa suits.
I can't imagine, yeah.
Dracula, my cat, not into it. Anyway, he's way more of a Halloween cat. All right, let's turn it over to Billy B with a cool classical collab that is topping his entertainment news.
Former voice contestant Ron Artis has teamed up with the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra. Together to create some beautiful and moving music.
A few weeks back, Ron reached out inspired by our Sounds of Resilience programming that we've been doing live from the Hawaii Theater Center here and said, I want to help, I want to collaborate. And we couldn't say no. And so over the past 2 weeks, we've charted 12 brand new original material with the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra and Ron Artis and his band.
You'll be able to watch the performances filmed at the historic Hawaii Theater right here on KGMB. That's going to be Monday at 6:30 p.m. We will also broadcast it on K5. Yesterday here on Sunrise, we showed you the music video that Josh Totofi did for the group Maui and Glenn Awang. Maui won their first Nahoku Hanohano Award just 2 months ago. Well, last night, Glenn announced that they are releasing a brand new album called The Breakthrough. He did it on Instagram. That's going to be this Friday on all digital platforms. He will be online live at 5:45 p.m. Auli'i Carvalho is headed to London. The Oahu native and Disney star will start shooting a new Amazon series called The Power, in which teenage girls gain the power to be able to electrocute people. It explores the power structures between men and women. Hawaii stars in a new Netflix movie. Finding Ohana premieres January 29th. These are new pictures just posted this morning. Jude Wang is the director. Netflix describes the film as a Goonies-style film in Hawaii that was about family, culture, and heritage. We told you about this a couple of months ago, and you might recognize some of the names. Kelly Hu, Ke Huang Kwe, Ke Hui Kwan, who was in the original Goonies movie, Lindsay Watson from Maui, Branscombe Richmond, Kea Peahu, Alex Iono, and more. Congratulations to them.
Thank you, Billy. I am looking forward to checking out Finding Ohana.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, I was there when they were shooting at Cockroach Cove, and they brought in all these giant styrofoam boulders to make it look even more rockier there and add some aesthetics to it. So it was really cool to see. You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. We're halfway through the week. Coming up at 1:30, we're expecting a news conference from Kirk Caldwell. We'll bring you any updates from that, so stay with your H&N digital platforms. We'll see you back here at 4 for First at 4 as well on KHNL.